Stream. Yes. So now it's on, and I think hello everyone, and welcome to N1P podcast. And under the section of Pan Africanism, we have something called Open Basket. Open Basket is one of our faculties within N1P podcast, where we display and discuss topics that are quite controversial, but also topics that are good for us to understand certain things, especially when we are in the years of information and we are in that time of trying to explore, but also do the research that we need to do as Pan Africanists and Africans, because our we need to find our common history, our commonality, and identity. So, like we always spoke about, I think we spoke about this a couple of sessions ago. We spoke about the importance of identity, and that's something that we are fighting for a lot, and we want people to understand that. Identity is one of those things that we are searching for, because if you have a common identity, it's easier to work with each other, and it's easier to deal with each other economically, verbally, socially, culturally. It's much easier for us to come to a consensus on certain things. Yes, I just want to answer some of the people in the Discord chats asking if my YouTube channel is N1P number one podcasts. Yes, it's number one podcasts. It's not an academy, but it is more of a podcast or an actual. It's like an academy, but not an academy. So it's more of an open space where we are going to discuss certain topics. There's a lot of topics within the N1P podcast selections that we have. We're going to speak about everything evolving from activism, political science. We're going to speak about history, prehistoric facts. We're going to speak about, Pan Africanism. We're going to speak about, social activities that are going on all over the world. We speak about news as well. I haven't actually gone into these sections more, and that's one of those things that I'm going to do as well, where we're going to have different names for different shows. This show is strictly Pan African, but also in a way that we want to give a historical facts on certain things that actually happened on the ground in Africa before and after 1960s. And there's a lot of things that happen in Africa that not many people understand and want to deal with. Sometimes, trying to take away a half or take away a big chunk of African history to, personify it, claim certain things that are not theirs. There's a lot of things that we as Africans need to deal with, and some of them things are especially history, cultural history, history involving ourselves and others. Reason being is that there's a lot of people that really want to be a part of this, want to deal with certain issues, but are not willing to put the work in to understand these certain things. Hence the reason why I'm having this discussion today. And I'm going to brief you. I'm going to brief you a little bit more on what is going on today. Recent announcement that we're going to have that I had today was that it's going to be episode 9 of the Open Baskets, where today we're going to discuss the continuation of Pan Africanism in Africa and the continuation of the movement itself through different strategies that we can use in order for us to form this unified force of Africans to combat a lot of different, issues that we have in the continent and outside of the continent. There will also be a section speaking about prehistoric findings around the world. Yeah, we had a discussion today, evolving around race and Africans within a lot of races. And that's some of the things that we're going to discuss. We're also going to discuss some of the etymology on certain words that Europeans and others used to, give us a name as Africans. So let me just find whatever I was supposed to find. Just give me a minute and we are going to discuss more. My live stream is there. Let me give you. There you go. There you go. I'll put this on the chat as well. I know there's not many people in here now, so it's just better for me to give the people what they need so that they can jump in as well. There you go. There you go. Perfect. So today we are discussing, like I said, the continuation of Pan-Africanism and what we can do for our youths and our future. There's a lot of things that we have missed just by, ignoring the facts about our prehistoric history and what we actually, stood for when it comes to a lot of things. So, for example, we spoke about the Berbers or the Berbers. Berber al-Berber, that's one of those words that many people don't really understand. And that's why I'm going to get the etymology on this word. Berber, okay. Yeah, so as we know, came from the word, a Greek word actually. So I know it's because of other issues involving, conquests, occupation of certain lands. So the Berbers themselves are North African in descendants. Many of them have some form of, Phoenician heritage as well. The Phoenicians used to travel and did a lot of business in and around the Mediterranean. So they traveled a lot and they did a lot of sailing. They loved to sail. They traveled far distance to do business with a lot of people around the world. Uh, One of those places, or three of those places, where they found islands and settled in them were in the Mediterranean Sea as well. So you have Greece. So you have out of Greece, you had some islands outside of Greece. There were some form of colony by these Phoenicians. You have also two cities called Tripoli, one in Libya and the other one in Lebanon. These two cities were also cities controlled vastly by Phoenicians. Phoenicians also colonized or actually just occupied islands outside of the area of Tripoli. So you have Greece was the first place. Then you have Sicily in Italy, and you also have the Granada, and southern Spain. These three places were actually places where the Phoenicians settled, and hence the reason why the name Barbaros came in. The name Barbaros was a name that Greeks said to name the foreigners, the people that came, the people that settled, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. It evolved into Barbar, and it also evolved into Latin, Barbar, as well. So that's where you get barbarian, for example, because barbarians were just a name for foreigners or people of foreign descent, people that didn't come from that land. They came and they settled. So that's the word Barbar. Then after a very long time, you had, different versions or varieties, stemming from, Barbar, al-Barbaros, etc., which had an earlier history and applied by the Romans, especially to the northern hostile neighbors from Germania, the Celts, Iberians, the Gauls, the Goths, etc. So all of these tribes in and around Europe were all called barbarians, or people that come from a foreign place. Its definition itself is like it's like more of a variety of people living in North Africa, west of Tripoli, which is Libya itself. The branches of the Afro-Asiatic language family comprised of languages spoken by various of people in North Africa. You have people such as the Tuaregs, the Kabyles, and the Amazids. You have a lot of people of Berber descent. And it branches off the Afro-Asiatic languages with these tribes. We also have knowledge of Berber, which is, even East Africans were called Berbers. So these people also settled Sahara before moving to the sub-Sahara. What people don't understand is that many of the spoken languages in sub-Sahara actually used to live in North Africa, which is called Sahara today. The reason being why people then moved from these places. Hi and welcome, Kale. Welcome to N1P Podcast, episode 9. I think you already know what we are going to speak about. I want to say thank you for coming in and being a guest in this here. We're going to discuss Pan Africanism. And when we are in that section of this interview or discussion, I would love for you to also come in and have your say when it comes to Pan Africanism and the way forward, so to say. Let me just go back to where I was reading there.
Yeah, how you doing, bro? Kusha?
And,
It's definitely a good topic because there's a lot of confusion when it comes to the sons of Noah,
yes,
their complexion and geographical.
exactly.
So definitely very interesting podcast, my brother. You
Yeah,
know,
and I think it's very
respect it.
important. Yeah, I think it's very important for us to come to that conclusion that, you know, we are not just one people. We are a conglomerate of many people. So to say, for example, like I would say, like the West Africans or Southern Africans, uh, they are a conglomerate of different tribes. They have
Yeah,
different heritage. They do have different heritage. So to say that all West Africans are the same, that's not even correct. you know, ethnically, culturally, it's not even correct because all of these countries, all of these tribes have different cultures, different ethnicities, and different history. You know, so to say that they're all the same is not even true. We are very, very diverse when it comes to a lot of things, especially the culture, language, etc. But what also brings us into some form of connectivity is the land of Egypt, Bilad al Sudan, yeah, which is the land of the black in Arabic. And it's the same word that they said to the whole region of Egypt, Sudan, even Saudi Arabia, which is Saudi Arabia today, was a part of Bilad al Sudan.
right,
But
right.
yeah, but it's
Mm,
not many people that speak about this.
hmm.
Hence the reason why we are today so confused. You can speak to so many Asiatics and they will never know these things. They will never understand these things because what the colonizers did was that they separated them from the heads. So what they did was they chopped off every head. When I say head, yeah, I mean the head of the clan or the gurus, as they say in Indus Valley. They say the gurus, or they would say, you know, kings or sultans or whatever. But these guys were the head. So they went to the head first. Not the legs, not the arms, not the body. They went to the head first. Yeah, and they took away the head because the head is the one that keeps the knowledge and passes down the knowledge, through time. So we have a gap in our history, and it's a giant gap which we can't even comprehend if we don't, if we are not more open for new things. I mean, open for historical aspects that can bring more nutrients to the actual history that we have. Going back to Africa, it always comes back to the land. It comes back to the black land. It always comes back to Egypt, or it comes back to that fertile land, which is actually Sahara. Because Sahara was vast, and Sahara itself was. once upon a time a jungle, and it was a very flushes jungle, very very beautiful, you know, beautiful lush country with palm trees. You had date trees, palm dates. You had grass, bro. It wasn't like what you see today. You know, today you only see sand. Yeah, but that sand also gives nutrition to somewhere else. Well, people don't understand. If it wasn't for Sahara, you would never have the Amazon in South America. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Did you know that? That if it
No.
wasn't for the sand, yeah, the sand that goes through the air, yeah, and lands in South America, yeah, you wouldn't have the lush Amazon that you see today in South America. Yeah, exactly what you see today in South America, which is, you know, Brazil, that whole Amazon, yeah. That
Yeah.
used to be in Sahara. Sahara used to look like that, bro. And we used to have big river systems from the Nile that spread westwards, eastwards, south, and north. Yeah. So all of these rivers that we see today, like the River Congo, or you know, they are connected to the Nile. Yeah.
That's
But
right.
then,
That's
but
right.
then, but then, if you look at, for example, other rivers that are, you know, dried riverbeds, yeah, you can still see the paleo rivers, paleo lakes. Like one paleo lake, I studied this in sedimentology. There's a paleo lake in the Sahara, and this paleo lake is called Lake Shad. Yeah,
Ah.
yeah, it's a paleo lake, bro. It's a lake that's been there for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, and it hasn't yet evaporated, so it's still there. It still exists, but you can do studies on this lake and to see how it was a couple of thousands of years ago. And they have already come to a consensus that it was very lush 10,000 years before Christ.
Ah.
It used to be a flush, it used to be lush. The whole area used to be lush, yeah, before the floods. Yeah, so when people say floods, oh, the floods happened. Yes, the floods happened, yeah, but it was a cataclysm that happened before the flood that people don't
Right.
even, you know, don't talk about as well. So we had a gigantic cataclysm that happened, yeah, that also separated us as humans even more. Yeah, yeah. So what happened was we migrated. Africans migrated thousands of years. I would say 100 to 2,000 years ago. We migrated from Africa. We settled in different areas, like the Iberian Peninsula, and went through all the way to Europe. The reason why you have Neanderthals in Europe. Neanderthals actually come from Africa. Yeah, people don't know that as well. Yeah, they came from
Yeah.
North Africa. They came from North Africa, bro. Yeah,
So,
they came. They
brother,
came from North Africa. Yeah,
um, as we are seeking knowledge,
yeah,
I suppose that we can seek knowledge from all sources as long as it's correct.
yes,
Would you agree with that?
yes, most definitely.
So, when it comes to the sons of Noah,
Well, yeah,
um,
yeah.
what I've noticed is that a lot of the people are very confused. You know, what color they were, where
Mm,
did they settled, what were the people before the sons of Noah, what color were they?
mm,
And what I was thinking is that if we are students who's
mm,
trying to preserve and display the knowledge, then
mm,
perhaps we could give the audience some sources as
mm,
for what color they were, where they
mm,
settled, and how it's linked back to the Nile,
mm,
as we call, you know,
mm. Yeah, I
the
will. I will put the
black.
information up.
Yeah.
Actually, I will put the information up on the actual video after we've done everything we've done today. I will put
Right.
up some sources about
Mhm.
this. to get people to understand, the real history of Africans traveling the world, actually, because we used to travel the world, and people don't
That's
even know
right.
that we used to travel the world. We used to travel the world by boat, and we used to travel through the seas. The seas was actually the space, bro. Back in the days, they used to call it space. That's why
Yeah.
when you look at time, yeah, and you travel from one place to another, time changes.
That's right.
Yeah. So
That's
what
right.
happens? You're going through time and space. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you're traveling. You're traveling through time and space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because if you're traveling towards Americas, you're going back in time. If you're going
Mm-hmm.
towards Australia, you're going forward in time. Australia is over
Mm-hmm.
10 hours before us. They've
That's
already
right.
gone through their day. Their day is already done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they waking
Yeah.
up now. They have a new
Mm-hmm.
day. While we are still here waiting for that day to come. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They've already gone through it. So to say
Mm-hmm.
that, we were just settling in one place, Africa, and no, we settled many places. And what we did was we traveled from one place to another. This I'm talking right now is in the actual Sanskrit scripture, and they
Mm-hmm.
came from India.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Indus Kush have a better understanding of our past is because their scriptures were never demolished the way it was demolished for us. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. I
So their
understand. Yeah.
so their scriptures are still there. They are more reliable in a way that,
Mm-hmm.
if you go back to us and just trying to read scrolls, we have a lot of undocumented papers still from Meroe, from all of these places. You still have it, yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not documented. They're
Right.
undocumented. People don't understand what this is. They don't understand because we don't have a stone like what you call that stone that has the three languages in the British Museum. Actually, it's still in the British Museum now. It's
Right.
like a stone. They call it what? The stone? What was the stone? It was a stone that I think it was Napoleon or these French, used to translate Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Right.
Yeah, it's called the Rosetta Stone. Go check it out for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. It's called the
Mm-hmm.
Rosetta Stone. Yeah, this stone
Right.
is in the British Museum. Yeah, and this stone is a stone that they used, the Europeans, to understand what the Egyptians actually spoke, because they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So they used the Rosetta Stone to translate
Mm-hmm.
Egyptian hieroglyphs. If they didn't find that stone, they will never ever be able to translate the Egyptian
Mm-hmm.
hieroglyphs. Yeah. And then we have other scriptures that are also similar in age that they can't document because they don't have anything to translate it with. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They don't
Yeah.
have any yeah. But Sanskrit is still there. People still write in Sanskrit. So it's not a dead language. The language is still there. It's not dead. It's still alive, which means you can always go back to it and read, certain things that happened, and they have a clear historical evidence of us settling in their land. There's a clear evidence of it in the book, in the scriptures, in the Sanskrit scriptures. They're talking about the Nagas
Yeah.
that came from west. If you look at west from India, west is Africa.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And they came, and when they came, they settled, and the people were very tall. Some of them were tall, some of them were not tall, and they had a robe, yeah, and they were covered in gold from head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
They were covered in gold from head to toe, and had lots of gold.
Mm-hmm.
The native people thought, yeah, that the sun has come. The sun gods have come
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because we were shining like sun, like the sun itself. You
So
understand?
could we say then that the West Africa was classed as Western Nubia?
Western Ethiopia.
Right.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
because
Oh,
Ethiops were all over
he-
the place.
right. So here's the thing
Yeah,
then, bro, Pusher.
yeah.
We can say now that we settled on the planet Earth first, right? Black people.
Mm,
So the question will be now is that where do we all
mm.
come from
Okay,
as it
cool.
pertains to the three sons of Noah? Because that needs
Yeah,
to be unpacked,
it needs
because
to
I was
be. It needs to
what
be
you were saying.
unraveled. It needs to
I
be
was,
unraveled. It needs
I
to.
was listening
You're
to what you
100%.
were saying, and you were saying that we're in different ethnicities and things like that. And I
Mm,
agree with you. However, there has to be a source. So where do we all come from in regards
mm,
to the black nations? Because remember, the three black sons of Noah. So where do we all come from?
mm, mm. I would say we're from Bilad al Sudan. That's where we all come from. That's my that's my etymology. But then you have you have other scientific factors. For example, you have groups that are very very isolated in Africa. For example, you have the Pygmies. Yeah, and the Pygmies, these are very short-statured people. Yeah, these people live in the Congo. Yeah, so they live in the Congo, Rwanda. So there's Congo, Rwanda, and I think it's Congo and Rwanda and Burundi. Those areas where you have Twa people, they call them Twa, the Twa.
Right,
Yeah, these people are pygmy people. Yeah,
right.
these people were the original settlers of, for example, Indonesia or Southeast Asia.
Ah,
Hence the reason why you have short-statured people in these areas as well, because they are pygmy
mm,
descendants. Yeah,
mm,
so they're pygmy descendants. So the pygmies themselves also had a lot of, they had a lot of knowledge as well because they built many structures. But what they did was they built many of the structures near river systems. Yeah,
mm.
near water. Yeah. So what happened was when the flood happened, all of it got underwater. So
Right.
most of their artifacts or most of their stuff is underwater. And it still needs to be, excavated and seen and understood. We don't have so much about the pygmies, but all
So
we know
right.
is
So
that they,
where would
they
they
left
come from
Africa.
then?
They
Right.
they they come from they come from the Nile, the river, the center. I would say the Paleo Lake where Shad is
Right.
where all of us, come
Okay.
from.
But remember what we was discussing, right? You says the three sons of Noah, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's the
That
confusion. That's the
yes,
confusion.
that's
Yeah,
what I wanted. Yes. Right.
yeah. So that's the confusion. So knowing like prehistoric facts,
Right.
scientific facts, you can also try to understand these other tribes. Noah, I think, and all of the others that came after him came from a specific group of people. Yeah. And the Pygmies came from a specific group of people. And the Khoisan came from a specific group of people. Yeah. So if you look at the Kushites, for example, they came from the land of Shem, even though they're Kushites.
Right. Came from the
Yeah.
land of Sham. Where
Shem.
is the land of Sham so the audience can know exactly where the
Yeah.
land of
So
Sham
the
is?
Arabian Peninsula, yeah,
Right.
that Arabian Peninsula is Sham, all the way
Okay.
up to Iraq. So Iraq, Elam is Persia. Yeah. So you
Right.
have the Elamites. They used to
Right.
live there in that area. So
Mhm.
those are the areas where the Shem is. That's his area. That's his kingdom. Yeah. Then you have Sumer, like I also spoke about before, back in the days. I think I spoke about this a week or two
Right.
weeks ago. Sumer, Sumer is the father of, for example, Babylon. Yeah, so before Babylon, you had Sumer. Yeah, so
Right.
and Babylon was created by a Cushite. His name was Nimrod. Nimrod was a Cushite. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's a Cushite.
Right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then what he did was he moved. Yeah, his Cushite tribe moved into Africa. So they settled Africa. You understand? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and they settled Africa and they settled Central Asia, Indus
Mm-hmm.
Kush. Those are the areas where Kush settled. Yeah,
Right.
yes. That's why you have a Cushitic lineage going through
Mm.
all of these areas because they
Right.
came from Iraq originally, but then spread. Yeah, and they came into Egypt. But what people don't
Mm.
understand is that the Kushites colonized Indus Kush and the Central Asia before even colonizing or before even settling in Egypt.
Now that's a good question now
Yeah,
because now we have to unpack
yeah,
the sons of
yeah.
Ham, the sons of you said Sham, right?
Sham,
And,
yeah, Sham. It's
and the
actually Sham,
son
yeah, Sham, yeah.
and the sons of Japheth, right?
Yafet, yes, exactly.
So who are the sons of Ham? So the audience,
Sons
so
of
we
Ham,
can learn and understand
yeah,
who are the sons
yeah.
of Ham.
Sons of Ham are purely black Africans. I would say Africans, like black Africans, like the Sudanese. Yeah, we call them Hams, or the South Sudanese. Those are the people of Ham. You understand?
Okay, so
Yeah.
the
Then you
the
have
sons of
Shem.
right.
Then you have Shem, which is the Semites. That is actually where the word Semite come from Shemite. It's from Shem. Yeah. And they are the
Right.
Semites. Yes. So the Semites, they used to live in the Arabian Peninsula.
Right.
Yeah, going into Egypt as well. So they were a part of Egypt as well. So the Shemites used to be a part of Egypt as well.
Right.
And Elam, which is Persia. Yeah. And then you have so the Japhethites, right? The Japhethites.
Mm.
These guys are the descendants of the Europeans, or the people that settled Caucasia, Anatolia, all the way up to Europe.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you have Anatolia, which is Turkey,
Mm.
Greece, Byzantinia, all the
Mm.
way up to Central Europe, into
Right.
Europe, and they settled. So that's their lineage. That's where they went, and they settled Europe. Yeah.
So we can say, for example,
Yeah.
the way how I learned it um, when I was younger is that
Yeah.
the ham is meaning when you are very, 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 very dark,
Yeah.
and
Very black. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
as it pertains to complexion.
Yeah.
So the sons of Ham is Cush,
Yes.
who is the correct me if I make a mistake.
No, you're right.
Cush, he's the father of the Ethiopian tribes and the Nubian tribes.
Yes, because Remember, Ethiop is black people. So
Yeah, but
Ethiopia
remember,
back in
brother.
the days was
Yeah,
not Ethiopia as you see today. Today, you
yeah,
understand? Yeah. So it's
yeah.
different. Yeah.
Because remember, brother, there's a lot of audiences that are young as well as
Yeah.
old. So we
Yeah.
need to emphasize and clarify
Yeah.
these things. So Cush is the son of Ham, and he is the father of um, the Ethiopians and the
Yes.
Nubians, which will be classed as the Sudanese, right?
Yes.
Then we have Put, and he settled in North Africa. Could we
Yes.
agree on that? Then we have Mizraim, who is the father of the Egyptians.
Huh?
And then we have um, Canaan,
Canaan.
uh,
Yeah.
or Canaan, yes, Canaan. And he is the father. And as we can go through, perhaps you may know more that he is the father of the indigenous Native Americans, as well as
Phoenicians,
the
Phoenicians.
Chinese and the Japanese, the as it pertains to the melanated ones, right?
Mm-hmm. In the
Right.
Phoenicians as well. Don't forget the Phoenicians. The
He,
Phoenicians. Phoenicians as well. They are Canaanites. The Phoenicians
okay.
were Canaanites.
Mhm.
And you have so Phoenicians were Canaanites.
Right.
And you have also what more was Canaanite? So the Phoenicians were Canaanites.
Mm.
There was another one. Um, Phoenicians. So the Phoenicians were
Mhm.
Canaanites that used to settle in what you say, what you call today Canaan, which is Israel, Lebanon, Syria. Yeah,
Yes, that's
but
right. Yeah.
they were also settled in
Mm.
Libya and Tunis. Yeah,
Right.
and what they also did was they settled a lot of the islands in the Mediterranean Sea. So you have
Oh,
Sicily,
right.
you have the Greek islands, some of the Greek islands.
Hmm.
And you also have a part of Spain, which was Granada. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
So,
those are the Moors. The Moors
uh,
are the guys the Moors are the ones that lived in central or south of Spain,
mhm.
and that's where they came from. They're native. They're actually native to Spain, and
But
that's what
brother,
people don't. Yeah,
before we go, who settled in there?
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
what I want to do, brother, is I just want to get the geographical of
yeah,
the black sons of Noah and their descendants. So
yeah,
before the Canaanites reach to the Mediterranean, we
yeah,
have to speak about Japheth or
yeah,
Japheth, right? So we
yeah.
know that Japheth, he is the father, according to history. Proof,
Biblical history. Yeah,
yeah, is that he is the father of the Turks and the
yeah.
descendants who settled in Europe. So, for example, in Greece,
Hmm.
um, one of his sons was named Javan.
Hmm.
Um, in Italy, it was Tubla.
Hmm.
In the Caucasus, it was Madai.
Hmm.
Um, in the um, um, Matju or Magog, right?
Magog, yeah, Gog and Magog, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh, so we're referring to, so we know that they settled in Turkey and the places of Europe before any Canaanites. Can we agree on that? Due to
yes,
where they,
yes, yes,
we can agree, right?
yes, yes.
Okay. Now I want to talk about the sons of Sham, where they geographically settled. If you could speak on knowledge on that, the children and the sons of Sham.
Mm. So Shem is what you will call today Semites. So all the Semites they came from one father, which was Shem.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. So all the Semites, if you look at all the Semites from Abraham or Ibrahim,
Right.
all the way back to what you call it to tribes in East Africa, which is in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, and also the Arabians. All of them they all came from Sham. From
Okay. Now,
Sham.
brother, I just wanna clarify something because
Yeah,
what I want to do, brother, is
yeah,
you said East Africa, right?
yeah,
Now, the reason why I want to section that off because we have just clarified that
yeah,
the the Kush, the father of
yeah,
Kush,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Ethiopian. So what I want to do is, brother, I just want to specifically
Mm.
concentrate for the viewers who are the Samites, the ones who settled in the place where they were told to settle before mixing, brother, because
Mm.
we
Mm.
need to unpack
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
son.
yeah, yeah.
So, as it pertains to the Samites, from your knowledge,
Mm.
who are the Samites and where did they settle?
Okay, so the
Yeah,
Semites, they came originally also from Iraq, or Elam, or the area of Sumer, Uruk, actually, and they went down towards the land of Shem, which is
right.
today the land of Shem, which is Saudi Arabia. Today they call it Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that whole area, all the way through, Jordan, and Hijaz, and
Right.
yeah, all of these places were all Shem. Yeah, and then what happened, because of the Red Sea, and the Red Sea opening, because the Red Sea
Mm,
is constantly opening. Yeah? Geologically, it's like a spreading ridge. So it's opening and opening and opening all the time. So before, at that time, the Red Sea was much closer to each other. Like the Red Sea was actually very, not far from, land to land. It was not far away from each other. So the Arabian
yeah.
Peninsula was very close to the
Right.
African land at one
Right.
point in a time, and they were also actually a part of that luscious,
Right.
like I said, the luscious Sahara. They also were a luscious land. That whole area used
Right.
to be a very lush. Yeah, that whole area used to be a luscious land as well, lush land. They call it the crescent. What you call it? The crescent. They call it. What was it they were calling it? The crescent. Fertile crescent. The fertile
Okay.
crescent. Yeah, which
Right.
is Mesopotamia today. It used to
So,
be.
brother,
Yeah,
brother, can we say then, as it pertains to the Shamites, it
yeah,
is the Arabs,
yeah.
uh, the Romans, um,
I don't know if the Romans though. I'm not sure if the Romans were.
we're gonna unpack that. That's because this is a very very deep episode, brother.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this is what made me come on, as well as to support you, of course.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because we need to get these things intact, brother. Because
yeah,
there's too many confusion as it becomes
yeah,
to tribe.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
the way how I have understood it and learned it is that the Samites
yeah,
are the Arabs,
yeah,
the Israelites, the Romans, the Persians, and the Ishmaelites are classed as Arabs anyway, aren't they? Right? So they
yeah, yeah. They're
fall into
Shemites.
that.
They're Shem. Yeah, they're
Yeah, the
Semites.
Shemites, right? But just to clarify the tribes, because we want to unpack, brother, where do we all come from as it pertains to the three sons of Noah? Now, when we move back to Japheth,
Mm.
we know that it was the Turkish, or the Turks who settled.
Yeah,
They left Anatolia and
yeah.
settled in Europe, and places around there. So the thing is that, do we have, brother, evidence and proof to the
Mm.
complexions of the descendants of Japheth, the descendants of Sham, and the descendants of Ham?
Yeah, I mean, we have it in a way and form seen and still published today in the pyramids. So if you go to the pyramids, you will see a display of what the pharaohs and pharaohs themselves depicted the different races. And I did put up an image on the Discord
Right,
on this. But what I will do is I will try to find that image and give you that
right,
image on the screen so that people understand
right.
where this image comes from. Yeah. Um, just give me a minute or two.
No
I'm not
problem, no
because
problem.
I'm quite new to these things, so bear with me, everyone online. Let me just.
You're good, brother Kusha. Um, Everything is outweighed how it needs to be.
Yeah, perfect.
Um, while you're finding that, I just want to elaborate on some things. So
Yeah,
we can say, so for example, if we analyze before the three sons of Noah,
yeah,
the meaning of Adam,
yeah,
right? So we understand that this word Adam
Mm.
pertains to deep brown. Would we agree on that due to proof and evidence? Deep brown,
Hmm.
right?
Adam.
And
The thing is, we can discuss because we can debate that because in different scriptures it says something else. Some scriptures saying that Adam was of every color. So it's not every color, but he was made of all clays taken from all across the world. So it's
okay,
clays from all over the world that God then, made a human being out of that clay. So he took clay from all over the world, all over the earth.
okay. So
Yeah. So let
can
me
we
just,
say that because that this is getting very interesting now?
yeah,
I agree with you that the due to the scriptures, right, that
yeah,
um the 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 creator
yeah,
commanded the angels to gather the different types of soil from the
yeah,
four corners of the earth,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And when it was placed and formulated, if, for example, because I, as a Pan Africanist, must study all of the religions that came out of Africa, right? Now,
yeah,
in the in the Quran, right,
mm,
there is a verse where the Creator says that with certainty we created man from the blackest ultimate mud. I believe it is verse 56, um, chapter the adornment, because we always want to give references because we don't want to mislead. The
yeah,
chapter of adornment where he says, "We created man from the blackest ultimate mud."
yeah.
Now, this is very interesting
Dry
because
mud, dry mud, dry mud. So if you look
dry,
at dry mud,
right,
yeah. If you look at dry
right.
mud, do you know
Mm.
how it's gonna look? Dry mud.
How's it gonna look, brother?
So if you look at dry mud, it looks basically it's a mixture of white and black. To be honest, it's grayish.
Hold on, brother.
Yeah,
Hold on, brother. Because this is getting very interesting, right? We have
yeah,
a proof, right,
yeah,
that the I agree with you that the angels were commanded to
mm,
gather different soils,
yeah,
color soil.
yeah,
However, the Creator, in His words, it says, "We created man from clay, from the
yeah,
blackest of mud." So when
yeah,
we understand this, brother, is that the clay,
mm,
although there are different colors of soil
yeah,
formulated, that the
yeah,
clay still altered into
mm,
black mud. You
yeah,
see what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
You see? So when
Because
we
all colors
understand,
are black. If you put all colors together, they become black. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's
so
just what it is. Yeah,
we can say then, brother, that this word, because if the creator is the most wise
mm,
and known of all things, he's not just going to call a creation a name without a meaning and benefit. Could we agree on that?
yeah,
So that means for him to call him Adam, right,
mm,
it's meaning that prescribed to the color of the clay. Could we agree on that?
yeah. In a way, yes.
So if we understand that the clay,
Mm,
after all those colors, it became black, then we can say, brother, that this is a black man,
mm,
right? Now, when we unpack his wife,
yeah,
they say her name was Eve. But due
Yvette.
to
Yeah,
influence, we have to go deeper into the etymology of the language. So we know that um, the most strongest is the Aramaic, what the Hebrew Israelites,
mm.
their
Some of them.
ancestors,
Yeah,
right, as well as the Arabic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we understand the word Eve as it pertains to Hawa, right? Then we
Yes.
know this word through proof and evidence is meaning the dark green leaf. So those who are in doubt, they need to research that
Yeah.
Hawa mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
We understand, brother, that they must, without a shadow of a doubt, be very, very melanated. We can agree
Mm.
on this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So if we go back to the three sons, brother, and I'm gonna end because I want you to clarify it more. Then
Mm.
what were the complexions of the children of Japheth,
Mm.
meaning the Turks, the father of the Turks who
Mm.
settled in
Mm.
Europe? What
Mm.
complexion were they, and what complexion were the Shamites? Because I think there's a brother in there. Um, I think he's a Hebrew Israelite. He's confirmed that the um the children of Ham were very dark, right? And we both explained that Ham means that. So now we need to clarify what were the color of the Shemites and the
Mm.
Japheth.
Mm.
Take it
I
away,
think
bro.
yeah. So I have a picture that clarifies the different types of races at that time within the Egyptians. So this is the Egyptian from the pyramids, and I
Right,
think that's one of those artifacts that we can still use today and say,
right.
this is actual. So because of the pyramids, like the scriptures within the pyramids were, not male functioned, or they were not, changed in a way, because it was all rock, like they were all, hacked in rock. So
Right,
most of these pictures and things that, it's very hard to copy or very hard to change, because if you
right,
change a letter, you will change the whole meaning of the whole thing. So
right, right,
yeah.
right.
So that's why they actually had stone tablets, because
Okay.
stone, yeah, because if you write on stone, it never goes away. It never goes away, never erodes, never it goes away. So that's why I can say that this picture here is um, one of those pictures that you can use to describe the three different sons that came out of
Okay.
Noah. So you have Shem, you have Ham,
Mm.
and you have Japheth. Yeah.
So, brother, because remember we have to use all sources. So, have
Yeah.
you heard of a scholar?
Mm.
I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. His name is Iman
Mm.
Ibn Jawzi. You heard of him? Ibn
Never.
Jawzi. Okay, so from what proof of evidence, Iman Ibn Jawzi is the descendants of one of the companions of Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, peace be upon
Okay.
him, who
Okay.
is Abu Bakr, right?
Abu Bakr. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now he has a book, and it's called "The Virtues of the Habasha and the Sudanis in Islam." Right
Mm.
now, according to him, and by the way, this book has been out um, since when he wrote it, so we're talking some centuries ago.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, Brother Kusha, it's been released a couple of years ago, which is very interesting. But according to him, he
Mm.
quotes that the race or the ethnicities of Ham, that they were um, very, very dark, and
Mm.
some of them were little bit light, right? Some of
Mm.
them. As it pertains to the children of Sham, is that
Mm.
they were dark with a little bit of a glow, right?
Mm.
And according to the children of Japheth, is that
Yeah.
they were yellowish brown,
Mm.
reddish brown, and some of them black, right?
Yeah.
So if we unpack that now, brother, because there is there was a great a great a believer in the Most High. And his name, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, his name is um, uh, Dhul Qarnayn. The
Ah, yes, I know this name. Yes.
Yeah, the possessor of the two horns, right?
Yeah.
And the description of Dhul Qarnayn, according to the the narrations of Muhammad the son of Abdullah, peace be upon him, as I will say for respect, that he is from the descendants of Japheth, and he was very black. Now, those who are in doubt of that, they can research it in Imam Ibn Jawzi, the book of the virtues of the Habasha and the Sudanis in Islam, right? So if he was that brother, and this is coming from, you know, as what has evidently came, the seal of the prophets and messengers is proof and evidence is Muhammad the son of Abdullah, peace be upon him, right? That he narrated that to the companions and said that he, Dhul Qarnayn, the possessor of two horns, who also lived during the time of Nimrod, um,
He
and
did. Did he?
yeah, yeah, he did, didn't? Yeah, he did, yeah,
Okay,
and
because there's some people. Sorry to just disturb. There's some people saying that
yeah,
Qarnayn
yeah.
was actually Alexander.
Ah, yeah, no,
That's what
no, no,
people are saying.
yeah, they do. But we know
Yeah.
that with Alexander, that he, as evidence that he wasn't following monotheism. But we know with Dhul Qarnayn that he was following monotheism as it pertains to worshipping the one creator and
Mm.
following the laws. So he can't be Alexander the Great because it leads towards that he was a pagan. No disrespect to anyone who believes or follows Alexander the Great. But what we
Yeah.
do know is, brother, if that Dhul Qarnayn, he lived for 1,600 years. The Creator allowed him this. This can be backed up with reference and proofs. So
Oh,
if he
okay.
was that color, and I have no shadow of a doubt that Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, peace be upon him, that he was a liar due to proof and evidence, that means that the complexion of Japheth, what you shown, brother, in the screen, he couldn't
Yeah.
have been that color. All due respect to you.
Yeah. I'm just using my reference. My reference is the
Yeah,
pyramid wall.
yeah,
I'm not using anything else. And also, when it comes to Qarnayn, also there's another scripture saying talking about this guy having horns. Yeah, there's
uh,
actually depictions of Alexander having horns. There's a actual like a symbol
yeah,
that he had horns, and not only that, but in the actual, if you go to Egypt today, you will
mm,
say an
mm,
hieroglyph.
yeah,
Only there was only towards him,
mm,
Alexander,
right,
and why it was only to him
mm,
was because he was the one they said protected the library and the scriptures to not get burnt or to be polluted or looted by others coming from the the Mongols and others coming in. Yeah, what he
right,
did, but he made sure that he built a wall to
right,
actually protect Egypt or Bilad al Sudan.
yes.
Yes, and
So,
he actually protected that area, and it says in the hieroglyph is a
right,
hieroglyph that is only for him.
right,
It tells that's why he got the city called Alexandria.
mm,
That's why the city is now called Alexandria after him. But
yeah,
we can discuss more because the guy was a Byzantine. We know that he was a
right,
Byzantine. Yeah, so he
yeah,
came from Greece or Greeks or he came
yeah.
from that area. Yeah, so he's a
Well,
Greek man. Yeah. That's
so
what they.
if he was from the Byzantine, which returns back to because the Byzantine was a big empire and it encompassed the
Yep.
Turks as well, didn't it? But we
Yep.
know, brother, that Alexander the Great couldn't have been Dhul Qarnayn due to his um, date of birth
Mm.
as well as his um, curriculum of how he moved the career and what he did. It couldn't have been that due to proven evidence. And I will, by the way, send these
Yeah,
references because we all
please do. Please put it on the the description box.
definitely I will.
Mm.
It will
Not now,
be
but whenever you're done. Whenever you're
yeah,
done. Yeah.
yeah. So what I know is that there is references that indicated that Dhul Qarnayn,
Mm.
the possessor of three horns, also indicated that he had plaits,
Yeah.
right? That he was in actuality due to because plaits it goes back, you know this very well. Having
Yes.
plaits was no new thing. So
Yes.
some would say that it's because his hair typified in the way of a plait, right?
Mm.
Why he was called that. And I'll send the rest of the proof. However, what I want to get back to is that, and this is no attack to you, beloved brother. This is all
Yeah.
research and knowledge. Is that if he was that complexion, right,
Mm.
then we know, brother, that it's impossible
Mm.
for the three sons of Noah to be different shades other than the shade which was back then, which was melanated,
Sun kissed. Yeah.
sun kissed, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, right,
Mm.
we know that we are all in different tribes as it pertains to
Mm.
our lineage goes back to the three black sons of Noah, right?
Mm.
So how do we clarify that the Cushites,
Mm.
the children of Ham, they were the majority
Mm.
of the spreaders as well as settlers on the planet Earth? How do we give evidence and proof for this?
For, if you can just repeat the last thing that you said.
Oh, the majority of the the spreaders of civilization
Yeah.
were the Hamites,
Yeah.
right? So what we
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
do now is because there's a proof that as I said, Imam ibn Jawzi, the son, the descendant of Abu Bakr, right? That according to what Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, peace be upon him, mentioned, that there were um, 24 farakas. Farakas is like distance of the earth, and 12, um, yeah, 12 was given to the Hamites. 9 was given to the Romans.
Yeah.
3 was given to the Persians, and 1 was given to the Arabs. Right.
Mm.
So, in other words, that the majority of the spreaders and population on the earth, although we were all, black people, but if we focus on the tribe, it seems like the Hamites were the
Mm.
majority of the spreaders and settlers. So, can we give reference that we settled and civilized everywhere without people finding it very offensive?
Yeah, we can. Most definitely. We can see it in different places. Like I said to you, the Hindu scriptures are one of the best or authentic scriptures that we can use to clarify this statement of Kush or Kushites conquering these areas, or not conquering, but more colonizing these areas. So they colonized, like I said to you, Central and Indus Kush before even settling in Egypt. That's the thing where that's the thing that makes many people like don't understand how, why, what's the evidence. The evidence in the pharaohs themselves carried, they were, many of them, or many of the kings were Cushites. So many of them also carried certain jewels or jewelries, and these jewelry have sources. These sources are across the world, or very close to Central Asia, because there's the only place in the world where you have a certain mineral. It's called a blue mineral. Is a blue mineral, and this blue mineral is called lapis luzalis. Lapis luzalis. This mineral itself is a mineral that you can see on the pharaohs. So if the pharaohs themselves carry these things, they loved this. They actually loved this mineral very much because of its attributes. It had a lot of attributes, magnetism, stuff like that. So it had a lot of attributes, and these attributes were very significant for for the body, for the actual chest, and for the what you call it? What system is this? The system where breed. What you call it? The system in the body, anatomy, um, respiratory system. So for the respiratory system, that mineral was very significant and very good. That's why if you go and look at you look at the pharaohs, you'll see the necklaces. The necklaces are quite huge. These necklaces actually sometimes covered the whole chest. Yeah, and it was covered in lapis. Lapis is a specific mineral that comes from Central Asia, from the mountains of Hindus Kush. Yeah, which means they have to come from somewhere. They colonized that area before settling in Egypt and created the metropolitan, as we today will call it Egypt today. Do you understand, Kale, or is it not so clear? I think it's clear for you, anyways. So that's the gist of why I said to you that they had some connections, or more than one just connection with these people in Central Asia, coming from the Indus Valley. You have the Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro civilization, which was connected with the Sumer civilization in Iraq and Egypt. All of them were connected. All of these, distant cities or civilizations were all connected. Yeah. So you have a city in Iraq called Kish, which is the actual capital before Uruk. Kish is a city where the Kushites used to live. Kish. Yeah. You have another city in this Kush, which is called Kashmir. Kash is another word of Kush. Yeah. And you have in the land of Canaan, or the land all the way into the Nile River, you have Kashut. There's another word, Kashut. So it's just dialects of Cushitic languages. So that's why I know that Kushites used to actually colonize the Near East or Far East before even settling in Egypt. So they took the boat from where we call today Sumer, or the Persian Gulf, and then they traveled with the boat all the way towards India, settled in that area, yeah, and then created these so-called colonies. And then what they did was they took minerals from these areas and took them back to Sumer, and then from Sumer they then traveled back into Egypt. Yeah. And in Egypt, they then settled in Egypt and created this empire we then called the Egyptian Empire. And it was built by 25 different dynasties, Cushitic dynasties, many of them. And one of them was Taharqa as well, but he was a Sudanese. But we can't really say, because if you say Sudan, Sudan is actually black. It means black land, and Sudan was actually, the whole continent was called Sudan. Even Arabia used to be called Sudan, Bilad al Sudan. So, where is these people come from? So I'm telling you, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I had a discussion with another guy that does not have any lineage close to, being Shemite or Cushite or anything in that region at all. Saying things, about our distant past, trying to, describe who we were but not understanding the scriptures that were there. So if you go to Indus Kush, you will see scriptures in Sanskrit speaking about the Nagas that came and settled, and they themselves call these people serpent, serpent kind of people, serpent people. And you look at the pharaohs, you see what they have on their head is a serpent. Yeah. And they also deified the serpent as well at that time in Egypt as well as the Kundalini. It's just another name for the Kundalini. That's all it is. It's an energy, and it strives from the bottom up towards your pineal gland, and then from there you'll get visions, prophecies, etc. That's what they do when they meditate. They sit under the sun and they meditate, and they get these, information, solar information, or what you call it, uh, photons. It's information coming from the sun. Photons. It's information. So they they sat down, they meditated, and they got things going. They were more spiritually in tune with Earth. They even understood Earth magnetism. They understood algebra way before algebra was a thing. They knew it already. Chemistry was already a thing that they did way before anyone even knew about chemistry. Yeah, they melted granite rocks. 5,000 years ago. There's no scholar today or no scientist today that understand how the heck they could do this at that time. How they could cut stone, in that precise manner as they did. You have to, first of all, be a genius in mathematics, first of all. Second of all, you have to have, machinery to cut through granite. There's no machine if it's not diamond tipped. Even diamond tipped saws, yeah, gets destroyed, and they have to use a new one in order for them to cut that granite. One of the hardest rocks on earth. So to say that these people were not, educated enough, they were very educated, very smart people, very smart individuals, like Imhotep that was born in Memphis. We have all of these scholars, that actually formed the first Freemasonry lodge in the world, which was actually created in Egypt. Not many people know about that as well, where you have the first Grand Masters, you know, founding, the Egyptian, scholarships, where these people then became pharaohs. These pharaohs were actually knowledgeable people. They were smart people. They were people that had 40 years of uh, of uh, getting to know a subject. Yeah, and it was passed down from their fathers and fathers' fathers and fathers' fathers' fathers. Yeah, and all these techniques and all these things, you can find them throughout Egypt, Iraq, all the way to Indus Kush, and still until today you can see these things. So it was a gigantic connection with these people. East Africa used to be called Maluha. Maluha is also in Portuguese. If you look at Portuguese, the name Maluha means actually a half crescent. That's what it means, Maluha. Yeah, these places were actually the places where they went and traveled to today's Harappa or Indus Kush Valley, settled, created the empire there, and then after that, what happened was they then went away, settled in Iraq, and then created that empire there as well, and then they went all the way to Egypt and settled there and created an empire there as well. So Egypt is not the first of these empires. Egypt is not. Egypt is the finalization of these empires. Egypt was a finalization of these empires, Cushitic empires. They created a metropolitan, the first ever state, was created in Egypt, where you had state functional, you had a state, you had the police, you had military, you had judges, you had all of these things. All of these things was created in Egypt. And the Greeks themselves said the Aethiop people were from Indus Kush all the way to western, west, all the way to Americas. You had Ethiops or Aethiop people. That's what Herodotus himself said in his scriptures. So there's a lot of things that we, are, somewhat, some way running away from. So let me take it back to Noah, 10,000 years before Christ, before the flood. So before the floods, you had a lot of, small civilizations in these river lakes, and them flooded. Yeah, they got flooded up, and when they got flooded, you don't have them empires anymore. You don't have any evidence anymore. They're gone. Hence the reason why you can't see them anymore. Yeah. Second of all, there was so much precipitation at that time that it killed off the roots in the Sahara. Killed off the roots. There's too much rain. Killed off the roots. It got rotten. Things started to rotten, and you had a layer and layers and layers upon layers of forest that just sunk down, cemented down into the sand. Yeah, into different reservoirs. Yeah, fermented. Yeah, and then at the time, what happened? It became what? What you see today is oil. That's why you have in Sahara and in Saudi Arabia rich amounts of oil reserves. It's because oil is called fossil fuels for a reason. It's fossils. That's what it is. So anywhere we have a lot of oil, you will have a or what you call it, a very old forests within that area. Not many people know about that as well. Okay, so we've settled that as well. We've settled, the civilizations, the Nagas that came to India and settled there to give them the knowledge that they needed. The natives, they also spread their seeds in these areas, and they became kings in these areas. That's why you have them as kings today. That's why the systems that the Indians still use today is a system that was used in Egypt. Yeah, the spiritual system. Yeah, so it's nothing new. These things are nothing new. Hare Krishna is not a new person. He was a what you call it, crystallized being. Being crystallized means that you're knowledged, you're enlightened, you're a person with enlightenment. You have been enlightened. You are a smart individual, a very smart, unique individual. That's what you are, an enlightened person. Yeah. And they depicted Hare Krishna himself as a black man. He's a black man. He's a black man. Yeah. And if he's not the first deity in India, it's a black man. So it's nothing we can run away from at all when it comes to a past past indigenous history. So we have settled Ham, Sham, Japheth. Yeah, we have settled that now. We have understood who these people were. Now we know where they used to live. We also know who these people were, who they were where they lived and where they settled, where they left and settled. So it's a lot of things that we already know now, and we have explored, we have understood. Now I want to go over to another topic, which is more have to do with Pan Africanism and the struggle forward. Or we maybe should have another session just about Pan Africanism and the way forward, because this is a very deep topic, speaking about origins of race and people that lived and settled in different other places around the world, having the same type of divine scriptures sent to them through these Nagas, or these people of the past that were actually kings. Um, you know, that's the reason. So the Canaanites, that left Canaan and settled Nile Valley, first ones we already know the name was Hexos, but they also had another name they referred to was Hekakash. Hekakash. Hekakash means king of Cush. So they became king of Cush. They became kings of Cush when they invaded and took over that area of the world. And that was way after we settled. We already had more than 25, uh, ruling dynasties. That's why we always have had problems with many of these people. It's because because of historical things, historical areas, historical origins, and historical occupations. Because the Egyptians also occupied Canaan many times, occupied these people as well many times, which they call today Hekakash, which is the fathers of the Phoenicians, etc. So yeah, that's what I want to discuss. If you want to, you can also go through the Hindu scriptures, Puranas, and in the Puranas, it's told that that these Nagas people came, settled, and made people understand, the laws of physics, mathematics. We spoke about, all sorts of things that they taught these native peoples to bring about a civilization. And they just went, from place to place, and they did the same thing all the way to Central America or to Mexico as well, which we have, the serpent, the flying serpent on that temple, the biggest pyramid, Teotihuacan in Mexico, which is called Flying Serpent. Everything has a connection to these Nagas people. The deity in China is also a flying serpent, which they will call the dragon. You have that as well. People don't don't understand that 3,000 years before Christ, they already had the knowledge of aerodynamics. So they already had prototypes of how a plane can actually look like. And in some Hindu scriptures, is actually speaking about planes, speaking about flying objects in the Hindu scripture, talking about the Kushitic Nagas that came. So, you know, speaking about very old technology, um, I think we can go back to these guys and read more about them, because there's a lot of things that we have dismissed, because of religious purposes. I don't understand really, because in religion it says very, very clearly that we have to search for knowledge. We have to search for knowledge and be willing to learn about our ancient past, willing to learn about world history, willing to learn about, certain things that, can make things more clear for us as human beings so that we don't go around being misled. It's easy to be misled if you don't know your history. So to say certain things or claim certain things is not a good way of introducing yourself in a way. You have to be sitting down and actually read these things and understood that, hey, these people must actually come from somewhere, you know and reading different myths, folklores, historical aspects coming from spiritual scripts like the Puranas. It's a spiritual script. They're actually speaking about these people that came to them and gave them this knowledge. There's always people that came and gave people knowledge. Yeah. So that's what I want to speak about today, and I want to say thank you as well, okay, for coming in. And it was very good that we spoke about this and showing the proof, and that we, spoke about. I will send the documents, ancient documents, to you guys and the audience that sees this. I know there will be a lot of people, that have, question marks around this, but it is something that we can still, continuously speak about. As you all know, I have a Discord. If you can, if you want, guys, go into my Discord, join the Discord server. Please also, if you liked this video, please, subscribe, like the video as well, because that's going to help the channel to grow. But also making people understand that this is an educational platform where we're educating the masses, especially African people and Pan Africanists, about their own identity. Hence, the reason why it's very important for us to get back to uh, who we were, who we are, and to learn from past mistakes and not let them, continue. Um, we need to learn. That's what we need to do. Ayil, are you still there? Or are you still online? Let's see if he is. If not, then I would say thank you for coming by and wanting to understand and listen. Good thing that you came in to learn, to listen, and to understand these topics more. We are going to have a discussion about this in my Discord as well, speaking about prehistoric history, because I think it's very important for us to understand our past in order to understand our future, and also be a part of that change that we want to see in the world. We want to see a change, but how can we actually bring about that change? We can only bring about that change if we are willing to bring about that change, if we are willing to understand certain things about life, about education, about our past, ancient past. So I want to say thank you for everyone that came in. Isle, if you have anything that you want to say, you can speak if you want to. It's all up to you, my brother. Um, if not, then I can say good night to everyone that came in. And I will say peace and blessings. Please, if you like what you see, what you have understood or not understood, please, hit the like button and the subscribe button. And we see you on the other side. Thank you. God bless you all. And Power to the people. Open basket. Episode 9. To be continued. Thank you.